For recording purposes, we're starting linear programming, and we already did piece of the linear programming already when we were practicing to draw straight lines, which we did a couple weeks ago. Okay, which we did a couple weeks ago. Right. So for those who now came in, you need to screenshot this in front of you because we're going to change this in about half a minute. Okay. So today you're going to be meeting up four symbols. Most of the times when I give you an equation, it will have an equal sign. I think most people are very accustomed with an equal sign. And we know when we throw things across an equal sign, it becomes the opposite. Throw across a positive, you get a negative. Throw across multiply, you get a divide. In most questions today, you're not going to see an equal sign. You're going to be either seeing the less than symbol, the greater than symbol. By the way, greater than, more than, and exceeds is the same exact thing. It's just different ways of saying the exact thing. Or you're going to be seeing less than or equal to, have the little extra line underneath, or greater than equal to. Now, you have to be very, very careful about these symbols. Whenever you have to draw a graph today, and it has the little extra line underneath, you see the ones a circle in pink? You notice it have the little extra line underneath here for both of them. Whenever you see the little extra line underneath, when you are drawing the graph, it has to be a solid line, okay? If it's just regular than, less than, or greater than, and it doesn't have the extra line underneath, when you draw the graph today, it has to be a dashed line. And if you draw the wrong type of line, you can do everything correct in the exam. You get the calculations correct. You do everything correct. But you draw the wrong type of line, you will just lose 1 mark. But it's still 1 mark. Okay? So for those who didn't draw in the types of lines, just add it into your notes. For those who just arrived, just quickly screenshot because I want to start the calculations as soon as possible. And don't worry if you don't understand everything in front of you here. I'm going to be saying it back like a million times over and over and over, right? So in 10 seconds, I'm moving on. Right. So how this question will come in the exam, right? The examiner will say, draw and shade. He will give you an equation. Now you notice the equation I gave you here. But you notice the equation doesn't have what? An equal sign. He wants you or she wants you to draw y is less than or equal to, notice the symbol they use, it's less than or equal to 2x minus 5. Now, do not let, you call these symbols inequalities. Do not let the inequality sign fool you into thinking the question is a tough question. Whenever you see these questions in the exam, here's what I want you to do. First of all, make sure y is the subject, right? Well, so far, y is the subject. Y is on one side and everyone else is on the other side. Do yourself a favor. Just replace the inequality with an equal sign. It's lit to make the question easier. Now, remember, all of this stemming from work we did 2 weeks ago. So I'm hoping everyone remembered what happened 2 weeks ago when we were drawing straight lines. If I were to ask you to draw this, first of all, would we get a straight line or a curve? Well, what do you think we would get? Do you think we would get a straight line or a curve? And I want a reason for it. Just don't tell me straight line or curve. I want a reason for it. See if you can remember from about 2 weeks ago. You would get a straight line. And the reason you would get a straight line is because the equation only has simple things like y and x. It has nothing fancy. It has no y squared. It has no square root of y or x or anything like that. So I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. Whenever we are drawing a straight line, the examiner will expect roughly 3 points to be drawing. You could draw a straight line with 2 points, but your teacher and CXC will be looking for 3 points. The x coordinates, remember, we get to choose the x coordinates. And remember, in the exam, the examiner will give you the graph paper with the axes loaded up already. So look at this. My y-axis goes up to 8 today, and my x-axis goes up to 9 today. I have to choose my x values. Now, I have to be reasonable. When I am choosing my x values, I have to make sure I choose something between what, 0 and 9, because I want it to fit on the graph paper the examiner gave us. So I'm going to choose some values, right? Now, I'm going to choose, let me see. I'm going to choose, what can I choose here? I'm going to choose 3, 4, and 5. Let's see if those values work. I want you all to calculate the corresponding y values. Remember, I know everyone in the exam is going to choose 2, 3 different values for x. But remember, I explained that even though if everyone chooses 3 different values for x, you're going to obviously get 3 different values for y. But when you draw the graph, everybody graph in the Caribbean will look exactly the same. It's magic, okay? Right? So calculate the y values for me. And remember, this is a linear programming question. And to make the question easier, for the time being, I change the inequality, the less than or equal to an equal sign, just to make our calculations easier, okay? So answers are coming up. Remember, you're just replacing x with what? You're replacing x with 3, then you replace x with 4, and then you replace x with 5, right? With the x values. Make sure when you replace it, you put it in brackets. You should be able to do this in your head, right? Cyan, check it back, check it back. Your first value wrong, I think. Check it back, Cyan. Your first value, I think, wrong. Let's go. Oh, this is the actual, well, that was a neater one here. All right. So let's say that the examiner wants us to draw this graph. First of all, right, when you're drawing any graph in the world, right, well, what should be the subject? Remember, y needs to be what? The subject. Also, you will notice it have a more than symbol there. So to make things easier, we just going to change that more than symbol to what? Equal. Do me a favor. I want you all, before you do anything else, make y the subject. Once again, when you're drawing any graph in the world, make sure y alone is on one side and everyone else is on the other side. That's a standard rule from now to the end of university, right? To make y the subject, I think the first person we're going to have to throw across is the 2x, right? The positive 2x. I think that's the best thing. So you throw across positive 2x, well, you get minus 2x. Then this 4 is what? A multiply. When you throw across a multiply, you're going to get a divide. You have 2 things waiting here. You have 2 options. You could draw individual divide signs and divide everyone by 4, or you could draw one big divide sign, right? And divide everyone by 1/4. Now, usually I don't prefer this way, but for this topic, I would prefer if you do it like this. So this is how I want your final equation to look. 16 minus 2x divided by what? 4. Okay? Right? This is just my preference for this particular topic, right? The other way will give you the same answer. Will give you the same answer. So now we have to substitute or choose some values for x. Now I'm going to give you all some advice. You see, when it have things like plenty even numbers like 16, 2, and 4, choose even numbers for x. If you choose odd numbers, you will get the same graph. It's just that you'll end up with some decimals, right? So let me help you choose some values for x here. Some good values will be, I like 0. It looks good here. 0, 2, 1. Let me go with 4 now. Do not type in this straight on your calculator. When you substitute x, work out the top, write down the answer, and then divide by 4. Because I guarantee you, if you type it in straight on your calculator will misinterpret it. Right? Good luck. Let's see what you get for the corresponding y values. Right, so I have this space laid out for the 3 pieces of working. So for the first one, we replace, remember, we're replacing this x. For the first one, we're replacing x with 0. 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. 16 minus 0 is 16. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. The first one is 4. Replace the x with 2. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3. The next one is 3. Replace x with 4. A lot of people got this one wrong. Not too sure why. 2 by 4 is 8. 16 minus 8 is 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Right? I think a good bit of people need to check back that last one. Right? Superville, check back that one. No? Let me know if you see the mistake there. Right? And somebody else needs it. Web, check it back, check it back. I'm double checking it. You know, sometimes I just get things wrong. I just double checking it here. 2 by 4 is 8. 16 minus. Nah, correct. All right, so for those who drew their makeshift graph, go ahead and plot the points and join it up. Plot the points and join up all the points. Right? Right. Look for your mistakes. The first point is 0, 4. 0 on the x and 4 on the y, right? Right. This here is 0, 4. Next point is 2 on the x and 3 on the y. And the last point is 4 on the x and 2 on the y. If I take my ruler and I connect it, it will look something like that, right? Yours will look a little better than mine. I don't have right? Check your points. You will get a straight line, right? It's just to check it back. You know, make sure you have the x line up correct and the y line up. Right. Now remember, you just get marks for putting in these little things and the coordinates next to it. But I don't want to clutter anything up as we now start the topic now. So I am erasing this and this just to make it look a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Now, we only somebody corrected me. No, but I'm surprised somebody only one person told me I did something wrong. Nobody gonna pull up my socks here and say, sir, you did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Petra, correct. Somebody else corrected me. Oh God, I missed the name. Right, Dana, Tariq, right, Faith, right, Sarah, Kim, right. Look at the question, guys. I'm gonna put an arrow here. Isn't it a more than? Does it have the extra line underneath? In the inequality, the more than, it doesn't have the extra line. It's supposed to be a dashed line. I just lost 1 mark in the exam. All right, it had to be dashed. Where do I shade? Do I shade above the line or do I shade below the line? Take a guess for a make-believe $1,000,000. It's definitely going to be above because it's what? The symbol is more than 16. So you just take your ruler and when you're shading, please use slanted lines and do not use vertical or horizontal lines. Make sure it's like this, right? And you just go to the upper end of the graph paper, right? Now, the name of the region, the shaded region is 4y plus 2x more than 16. The name of the region has the inequality. The actual name of the line is 4y plus 2x is equal to 16. Make sure you understand the difference between the actual line and the region. The region has the inequality. The actual line has the equal sign, right? All right. So update your diagram on your side, right? Let me know when you're finished and ready to move. Right? All right. So now remember on the first day, when we started, I think we was doing functions or something. I can't remember. How much of you all remember how to draw these special graphs? Remember all the graphs I gave you so far have what? Have X and Y. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is something we did a few weeks ago. If I were to ask you to draw the line X is equal to 2, you see how the rest of the graphs that had plenty calculations to do? X equal to 2 is just a vertical line going through 2 on the x-axis. Look at it, right? It's just a vertical. This is the line X equal to 2. It's just a vertical line slicing 2 through the x-axis. Similarly, if I ask you to draw the line X is equal to -1, that's just a vertical line. Look at the blue line going through -1 on the x-axis. And the Y equal to something is just the opposite. Y equal to 3 is just going to be a horizontal line going through what on the y-axis? 3. That's the green line there, right? This is y is equal to 3. And I think you all get the picture here, right? Y equals to -2 will just be horizontal line going through -2. I'm not going to make you all take down this note again. It's just a quick refresher, right? So whenever you have to draw these types of graphs today, I don't want you to waste too much time thinking it through. X is the vertical one and Y is the horizontal one. Let's move on. Right. So let's say in the exam now, the examiner says draw and shade, and he gives you this real easy looking question, right? He tells you draw and shade X is less than or equal to 40. Well, you should smile when you see this question because it has no X and Y in it. There's only one letter X. So in these types of questions, remember I tell you, whenever you have to draw a graph and they give you an inequality, replace it with an equal sign. How would that graph look? X equal to 40. Will it be a vertical line or a horizontal line? On the tip of your fingers, what will you think it will be? If I ask you to draw X equal to 40, vertical or horizontal? Vertical, right? Remember, X equal to something is a vertical line. So you're going to see it appear on my diagram. You see that red line there? That red line, look at it. I know it's kind of hard to see, but that vertical line is going through what on the x-axis? Look at it. It's going through 40. So the name of the line itself is x is equal to 40. But we have to shade one side, less than or equal. Now, when you have a vertical side, right, you're going to have a left-hand side of the graph and a right-hand side of the graph, right? Remember, a vertical line don't have a above and below. Think about it. That red line don't already have a above side and a below side, right? It has a left side and a right side. So using a little bit of, I don't like to use word common sense, right? In case people get it wrong, all right? Which side do you think naturally less than would refer to? The left-hand side or the right-hand side? If you had to associate less than with either left or right, which one would you most likely choose? Left. Okay? So that means this vertical line, to complete the question, we have to shade the left-hand side of the graph. So the left-hand side of the graph, we just shade it out. Right? Right? This one is just a little different because, like I said, a vertical line doesn't have an above portion and a left portion. It's either left or right. Now, the name of the region we just shaded out is x is less than or equal to 40. The name of the actual red line has the equal sign in it. Right? Now, this one is like a million times easier than the one we just previously did. The previous questions, we had to make y the subject, choose 3 values for x, calculate 3 values for y, draw it, and then figure out which side to shade. This one, by comparison, is super easy. Do you think you could do the second question for me? Take down the first question, and I want you all to draw and shade x is more than 10. Draw and shade. X, remember you're drawing ready, x is equal to 10. But because it's just more than, it doesn't have the extra line there. It has to be a dashed line, a vertical dashed line going through 10. Remember, the name of the actual line that we just drew, the name of the actual line is x is equal to 10. Now, because it's more than, once again, a vertical line has a right side and a left side. You associate more than with the left-hand side, right? So you shade out this side here. Sorry, I think I said it wrong. You associate more than with the right-hand side. Right? And the name of the region here is x is more than 10. How much people forgot the dash line? I'm sure at least half the class forgot the dash line. You put a solid line by mistake. Some people are telling me, no, they did not forget it. And I could not trick them. All right, so let's try this for the y's now. Now remember, x equal to something is what? A vertical line. Y's are just going to be the horizontal line. And the horizontal lines are easy because horizontal lines literally have an above and what? A below. You think you all could try these two questions for me? Right? I'll give you all our 5 minutes. I know you have to draw the makeshift graph. You're not using real graph paper. Just use your copybooks or notebooks at the time being. Right? Take 5 minutes and let me know when you're finished, and you will see my answers. Here, y is, well, when you're drawing it, you're already drawing y is equal to t. That should be a horizontal line going through t, but it should be a dashed line. And it's more than. So that means I should shade what? Above this line. Right? So I have a feeling some people forgot the dash line, right? You forgot the dash line. So just to make sure, the name of the actual dash line is y is equal to t, but the region that we shaded is y is more than t. All right. So if you forgot the dash line, let me know. I'm just always interested in knowing who might have gotten it wrong, right? You cannot put a vertical line, right? I'm not too sure if you mean the shading. The shading always has to be a slanted line. And remember, we went through this already. Y equal to something is always a horizontal line. But the shading itself, please make sure it's slanted lines, right? It has to be. The next one now, y is less than or equal to 45, right? Right? So y is equal to 45. Now, the only reason I put this one, you notice how I have 40 here and 50. So 45 will be in the middle of what? 40 and 50, right? And so that should be a horizontal line going through 45. And you notice I put it exactly in between the 40 and the 50. And this one should have been a slanted line, right? Not sorry. It should have been a solid line because it's less than or equal to 45. Where do we shade? Above or below? Common sense will say, well, it's a less than question, right? It has to be below, and it is. Make sure it's slanted lines. The name of the line itself is y is equal to 45. The shaded out region is y is less than or equal to 45. How much people got everything 100% correct for both questions? Right? Great. For those who didn't, not a problem. Once you understand where you went wrong, take it as a win. And in half a minute, we will be moving on. Right. Now look at this here now. Look at this. All right. So I want you all to take down these three questions for these three equations. I need to switch the screen. Right? I know what you're saying. Oh God, there's three equations. Now here's how the question is most likely to come on in the exam. You're going to be given three equations. And then you're going to have to take your time and draw all three equations on the same piece of graph paper. So try to imagine this, right? Try to imagine the clutter on the graph paper because you have how much equations to draw on the same one? Three. Which means, right? You're going to have to draw this equation. You're going to have to draw one table, right? Do your calculations, calculate your x and y, draw the graph. Then you're going to have to draw a table for the next equation, right? And you're going to have to choose your values for x and calculate for y. And well, this one has no calculations. So, and at the end of it, right, they are going to tell you to shade the common region. I'm gonna have to show you all this using a computer program, right? So take down the three equations. I have to take them down two, and we're gonna go to the computer program, and hopefully the computer program will make everything easier to visualize. Let me know when you guys are ready. All right, you guys finished there? Guys, this is a free website. Look at here, if you all want it. Desmos, just type in Desmos on Google and the first link that come up. This is a real popular free program. Right? This is a real powerful program. My advice is for those who have like little projects, something to do like SBA something, you could use this to do up all the graphs, something real easy. All right, so let's move back to my slides now, right? There's my slides, right? View. Right. So these are the same three graphs just now, right? So the green graph, remember, for the green graph, right, you had to imagine which part the shading was, right? For the green graph, the shading would have been below the green line because it was a less than. For the purple graph, it was the same thing. The shading, you would have to imagine it below the purple line. And for the black graph, the shading was also below. Where are all the arrows heading? But if you use the imagination, you would realize that all the colors would overlap in this region, the region we would have called number 5 in the previous diagram. So in the exam, this is how you would have to shade it, right? You would shade this region here for the examiner. But it takes a little, I know what you're saying, to imagine it is going to be a little bit difficult. The only way to overcome that is through practice, right? And after you shade out the region, what you could do for the examiner is take your ruler and box it off and make it a little bit thicker. All right? Just make it a little bit thicker so it's easier to focus on. The examiner will appreciate that. Okay? That's the common region. The official name for that area where all the colors overlap is called your common region, because all the colors can be found there. It's common to all the colors. Right, so you can screenshot, no, not screenshot this one. This one you can draw it out. You don't need graph paper, right? You can just use a makeshift graph paper and draw this out for me quickly, right? Excellent. Ah, yes, great. Okay, we reach it. All right. So we developed a business here, right? I'll give you some time to draw this and everything after, I promise you. So let's say that we want to open up a business. So we buy a little bicycle and we modify it and we put a little cart on it. Now we're keeping it simple. I know a business could sell many, many things. It could sell burgers, ice creams, with is sweet drink, juice. It's so many things a business could sell. We have to start off simple, right? For CXC, the assumption is your business will only be selling 2 products. So we have decided to sell hamburgers and what goes exceptionally well after you eat a hamburger and ice cream. Okay? So we all know our business is all about profit. We're going to assume that when we sell, for every burger we sell, we're going to make a profit of $3. So if we sell 2 burgers, we make $6 profit. If we sell 3 burgers, it's $9 profit. And we're going to assume that the profit margin on an ice cream is a little bit larger. For every ice cream we sell, we're going to make $4 profit. Now I know what you're saying. We want to make maximum profit, right? So why not just aim for the stars? Why not sell every day? Aim to sell 1,000,000 burgers, and every day we're going to try to sell 2 million ice creams. And by the end of the day, we're going to be millionaires. Sounds like a really, really, really not thought through plan, right? I mean, everybody in a business wants to sell plenty. But the truth is, in a business, you think after let me say after you set up shop, after about 2-3 months, you really think you're going to be selling 1,000,000 burgers a day and 2 million ice creams a day, right? You're not, right? Because life doesn't work like that usually. Okay? Let me explain why it's probably not possible to sell 1,000,000 burgers and 2 million ice creams a day. Look at the size of this cart. You think the ingredients for 1,000,000 burgers going to fit in that cart? Or the container for ice cream going to be no, it's just ridiculous, right? So the thing about it, all businesses have constraints. What's a constraint? A constraint is something that prevents you from becoming a billionaire overnight, right? So let me say we analyze the business, right? And we realize that when we analyze the business, the cart only has space for 60 burgers. So only 60 burgers could fit inside the cart for the day. All right. And remember, we have staff working. Maybe the staff could only prepare 60 burgers a day. And for us to keep in business, right? Remember, I don't know if you all know this, right? Some companies will not allow you to sell a product unless you agree to sell a certain amount or more a day. You all know about things like that? Like I don't know if you all know that, right? So like, okay, so let's just say the ice cream company says they will not supply you with ice cream unless you sell 10 or more ice creams a day. If you sell 9 ice creams a day, you're a waste of time. We're not going to waste our time to provide you with ice cream. Okay? So these are the constraints, right? These are the conditions of our business. It only have space for 60 hamburgers, and we have to sell 10 or more ice creams a day. Also, the total space, remember the cart has to fit 2 things in it. It has to fit, hamburgers, and it have to fit what? Ice cream in it. But it only has space for 80 items. Now, not common sense, but a common idea is if you only have space for 80 items, how much people think it's a good idea to make space for 40 hamburgers and make space for 40 ice creams? Split it down the middle. Do you think that's a good idea? I mean, it seems like a reasonable thing, right? But ask yourself, would splitting it down the middle be good for business? Because look at it. Which one has a bigger profit? Any bigger profit is for the ice cream? Look at it. For each ice cream you sell is $4. For each burger you sell is only $3, right? So shouldn't you make more space for the ice cream? So I don't think it's a good idea to split it down the middle. But the question is, how to split it? Should it be 40-40 or 30-50 or 20-60? Let's use mathematics to figure out the correct way to optimize our business. At the end of the question today, we will be able to figure out exactly how much burgers to prepare and exactly how much space to make for the ice cream to maximize our profits. It's not as simple as 80 minus 60. Believe me, it's not as simple as that. You might think it's simple like that, but believe me, that is not how the maths will work out. So let's build our equations. First of all, the first thing is we must not sell more than 60 burgers. The letter X represents hamburgers. Tell me if this equation makes sense. X is the amount of burgers we want to sell, and it must not exceed more than 60. Now, be careful. I know you see the word more. So you're going to put more than or equal to 60 or more than 60. But I told you not sell more than 60. So that means we have to sell less than or equal to 60. Does that make sense? If I come and tell you, do not sell more than 60, you're going to try to sell 61? No, I tell you, do not exceed 60, right? So the first equation is X is less than or equal to 60. So everyone take down the first equation. That's our first equation. X is less than or equal to 60. The second equation for the ice cream, Y represents the ice cream. Don't worry, the examiner will tell you what letter represents what. You must sell at least 10. So if I come and tell you, hey, you have to sell at least 10, that means you have to try to sell 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just make sure and sell 10 or more. Therefore, the amount of ice creams has to be more than or equal to 10. Otherwise, the ice cream company will say, you're not selling enough ice cream. You're not worth our time. We're not going to supply you. We're going by a competition. But there is a third equation now. Remember, how much items can fit in the cart? 80. Isn't X the amount of hamburgers? Isn't Y the amount of ice creams? When we add up the amount of space for the hamburgers and the amount of space for the ice cream, it cannot exceed 80, because we simply don't have space for more than 80. So when you add up both of them, it has to be less than or equal to 80. That does not mean X is 40 and Y is 40. It could be 30 and 50. It could be 29 and 51. All of these things add up to what? 80. Our calculations at the end of the question will tell us exactly how much space to leave for the hamburgers and exactly how much space to leave for the ice cream. Everyone take down all three equations. Well, take down everything on the screen, right? And what we're going to have to do now is draw some graphs to figure out how to analyze the situation, right? I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to finish this question today, but at least I got the chance to introduce the question. So next week we can more than finish it if we don't have time. All right. So on your graph paper, right? On my x-axis, it's going to represent hamburgers. So X is going to represent hamburgers. and the Y's are going to represent the ice creams. The examiner would have told us that. On the x-axis, I want you all to count up to 90, and on the y-axis, also count up to 90. The spacing here between we're counting in tens, and every tens is going to be 2 centimeters on both axes. All right, so could you all do that for me? Make sure on the y-axis, we reach up to 90, and on the x-axis, we also reach up to 90, and the spacing is going to be 2 centimeters. In other words, your T-Rex, your dinosaur spacings. Right? Like I said, even if we have finished today, we could get things ready for next week. So by next week, when you come, boom, we have the graph paper ready. We could start our calculations one shot. The first graph is really, no, we're not shading it, we're just drawing. At the end of the question, we have to use our imagination, imagine the shading, and then shade. The first graph was x is less than or equal to 60. X less than or equal to 60 would be a vertical line going through what on the x-axis? 60. So everyone do that for me. This vertical line is x is equal to 60. Everyone drawing that one. Right. I'm going to use a different color now. The next graph that we have to draw is y is more than or equal to 10. That's an easy graph to draw. That is just what? A horizontal line going through 10 on the y-axis. So everyone drawing the pink one there. This line here is y is equal to 10, the pink line. Make sure and label it and don't shade anything. Huh? You're doing it exactly like how I have it. All right. The third equation. Can we just simply draw this one, or do we have to do calculations? What do you all think? Yeah, no, the first one only had one letter. The second one only had one letter. But this one has how much letters? Two letters, X and Y. So this is the one we have to do some calculations for. So when you want to draw any line in the world, you can just pretend it's an equal sign, but we have to make sure who is the subject. Y. So we throw across positive X, and when we throw across positive X, we're going to get what? Minus X. If you want to change this to an equal sign to make it easier on your eyes, feel free. So everyone do that. Make Y the subject. And now we have to do what? Choose 3 values for X and calculate the corresponding values for Y. Let me help you, right? Because I don't want everyone choosing different values for X. My x-axis is going from 0 to 90, and I'm counting in tens. So I might as well choose a multiple of 10 between 0 and 90. Some nice values to choose might be 0, 20, and 50. I think those are some okay values. Could you all calculate the corresponding values for Y? All you have to do is replace them here. Replace X with 0, replace X with 20, replace X with 50.